Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining again. Thank you so much for joining on time. Just so you know, you're my favorite on the NYC half team. My name is Jeremy. I'm the director of the Team for Kids program. I've been with Team for Kids for the past 10 years, or almost 10 years. Time flies. But we are so thankful for all of you to be running with us this season. And we are so excited to meet you and cheer you on next week. So really the point of this call is to answer your questions, go through all of the specific Team for Kids instructions, tell you about our perks. So on race day, you don't miss out on anything. You've done so much for us and for our organization with your fundraising. So as a special thank you, we want to have the best race day possible for you, the most comfortable race day possible, the least stressful race day possible. Because if it isn't for the Team for Kids runners, we simply can't have youth and community programs. The funds raised by Team for Kids fund upwards of 80% of our youth and community budget. That's our youth programs, Rising New York Road Runners, Youth Ambassadors, Youth Wheelchair Program, Run for the Future. It's our community programs, Open Run, which is for families to bring strollers and dogs and people who can't pay for the weekly races in Central Park to run a 5K for free in their own park, in their own community, build their community there. It's for our senior citizens, our senior striders who still need to be active but have fewer social outlets. So groups for them to come together, move their bodies, but also connect with other seniors who maybe are isolated from people in their daily life. So we do so much in New York City and across the country, and we can only do that because of the funds you raise. So a huge thank you. Hopefully you feel the love in the coming week and on race day, because what you do for our organization really drives the heart of our mission. So thank you. I will move on to the questions. So we'll go to the next slide. I believe it's an overview. Nope. Ash was trying. Well, we'll just go to intro. So I'm going to have David hop on and introduce himself. He is a staff member with us, and Ashley will keep working.
Yes. Apologies, Zoom and PowerPoint are being wonderful for me. David, go forward.
Hi, everyone. I'm David. I'm the Team for Kids Operations Coordinator. I've been with the team for about 3 years. This is my third event working the Brooklyn Half. I've met a good chunk of the team, either in person or by email. As Jeremy mentioned earlier, if you ever shoot us a question asking anything about the program, it's one of the people on this call answering that email. We don't have bots, we don't have AI, no question too dumb. There's a good chance someone has asked it before, and if no one has ever asked it before, it's a great question. So we're here to support you guys through whenever you guys need.
And then Coach Dorothy, if you can hop on and introduce yourself as well.
Hi folks, I'm Coach Dorothy. I met some of you in person, answered some of your questions on the Facebook page. I've been with Team for Kids since 2015 as a runner, and at 2018 I became a coach for the team. I've run this particular race 9 times. It is my favorite half marathon, and I look forward to going over a little bit of course strategy with you tonight.
Awesome. And then Ashley.
Hi guys, I am the tech wizard here. Hardy har har. I apologize, everything was quitting on me before, but I do love this race. I have never run it, but I love cheering it on. My name is Ashley. I live in the Upper West Side of Manhattan near the finish line. I've actually been with Team for Kids on and off for about 5 years. And I am super excited to have no more technical issues for the rest of the deck.
Okay. So those are the intros. Again, we are also the people that you will likely see at the expo. We're the people answering your emails. So, email, in person, carrier pigeon, however you get your questions to us, just get your questions to us. We want you to be as confident and comfortable going into race day as possible. Okay, next slide.
And that is going to be me. I'm going to be walking you guys through some bits of information about the United Airlines NYC Half Experience presented by New Balance. It is located at Center 415. It is 415 Fifth Avenue, Manhattan, between East 37th and 38th Streets. It is open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday and Friday, March 16th and 17th, it'll be open from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. Saturday, it will be open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Please make sure to if you are not sure if you're going to get there until Saturday late in the day, make sure that you get there to be able to pick up your bib before it closes. Super, super important. What you'll need to pick up your bib, you'll need to pick your time slot, which is available in your NYR dashboard. You can go on in now and even select that. You'll need a valid photo ID, driver's license, DMV photo ID, passport, and your NYR account QR code. It's in your confirmation form, and it's also available in your NYR dashboard. When you guys will come into the
Ashley, can I
experience,
just jump in really quick? Yvette did
please.
ask about, she's confused, or will we have two bibs? So when we say you'll have a special team for kids bib, what that means is on your regular race bib, you'll have the regular number bib that every runner gets. There will be a special TFK sticker on that bib. That sticker is basically your ticket to the TFK race day perks. So if you sign up for our bus, you need to show your bib with your sticker to get on the bus. And when you, if you come to our hospitality, you would show the bib with the sticker to get into our hospitality. So you'll have just one bib. On that bib, there should be a TFK sticker. If you don't see one, come find us and we'll give you a sticker.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that. So because we have these special bibs with the special stickers, you guys have to come to the TFK bib pickup booth. It will be the three of us, one of the three of us that'll be there, plus another colleague that we have giving you the bibs. It'll be located on the wall opposite general runner bib pickup. Don't go to the general bib pickup booth because you'll need to get, as we mentioned, the specialty TFK sticker that only we have at our bib pickup section. You also, as Jeremy mentioned, you must have the TFK bib to gain access to the race day perks.
Yeah, and sorry, there appears there may have been a typo. The expo are the 3 days prior to the race. So that would be Thursday the 14th, Friday the 15th, and Saturday the 16th. And the race is on Sunday the 17th.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
I will also be putting in the chat the race week guide that we've sent to everyone that has the correct dates of the experience. I will be putting that in the chat. It has information about bib pickup and everything. That way, if you guys don't know where it is in your email, you'll be able to click the link in the chat once I'm done with this section a little while. Okay, and I'm going to pass it along to David.
And so now that you've gone to the experience, you've picked up your bib, we're going on to the race day logistics, and we'll start with how to get to the start. Getting to the start. All right. A little while ago, we sent out a survey for the Team for Kids exclusive optional transportation to the start. Earlier today, we sent out confirmations for everyone who did sign up for those. So if you haven't seen it, check your email, check your junk folder, check your spam folder. Anyone who previously RSVP'd should have gotten their update today. There are 2 different departure times depending on what wave you're assigned to. They'll both be departing from the same location. So those will be at Central Park South on the north side of the block between 6th and 7th. Anyone who's come to practice regularly, it's a few blocks to the east of where you normally meet by the USS Maine Monument. Please plan to arrive at least 15 minutes before the bus departure. That is very important because we cannot hold these buses. They're part of a larger system of other buses that are also going to the same place. If one gets delayed, everyone behind that bus gets delayed. Please ensure you get to your designated start bus on time so everyone gets their start on time. And especially you must be RSVP to get on the bus. Non-TFK runners will not be allowed to board the bus.
And here's the map, and I'm also including in the chat right now a link. That way you guys don't have to screenshot it. It's a link to where this location is as well.
Yep. And you can also see the closest subway stations to get to the location there. Also, just double check the MTA website, especially as you get closer to race day, there may be some alternate routes or construction or lines that aren't working that aren't posted yet. So whatever you see now may not be true a week from now. So always constantly check in with the MTA website if you're planning to take public transportation, either to our transportation or directly to the start, which we'll go to on the next slide. Runners can, of course, make their own arrangements. Public transportation is usually pretty good, depending on where you're coming from. Again, the 2, 3, 4 subways will be your best bet, but there's 2 different locations depending on whether or not you need to check in a bag. This will save you a lot of time. If you are pre-checking in a bag, the Franklin Avenue stop is your best bet. If you do not need to check in a bag, the Eastern Parkway subway station is your best bet. The reason there's 2 different recommendations is you have to check in your bag before heading through security. So if you do not need to check a bag in, you save a little bit of time, and they are in 2 separate locations, which is why they're in 2 designated areas. Again, double check the MTA website just in case, periodically. Don't just look at it today and say, oh, I'm good, and then something pops up between now and race day that shouldn't catch anyone off guard. Private vehicle drop-off is also an option if you want to take an Uber or a Lyft or have a friend drop you off. Also, just be cognizant of if you need to check in a bag of where those 2 locations will be. The best private vehicle drop-off location will be on Bedford, between Bedford and Eastern Parkway.
Okay, so now you are hopefully on the bus, or you've decided your mode of transportation, subway, Uber, bus, whatever works easiest for you is what I recommend. You don't want to stress out to try to get to Midtown to get on the bus if you live in Brooklyn. Take a subway or take a car. Do what's easiest for you. Don't cause extra stress for yourself on race day. So once you're at the start, the race will start. I'm gonna show you a map. So these are the bullet points, then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the map. So the race starts on Washington Avenue, adjacent to Brooklyn Museum and the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. Security screening checkpoint will be at Eastern Parkway at both Washington Avenue and Classen Avenues. Well, on the map, I'll show you there's a recommended entrance for people who are dropping bags, and there's a recommended entrance for people who are not dropping bags. Runners should approach security screening from Eastern Parkway. I wanted to flag a little bit different this year is that NYPD is not going to allow runners to bring liquids into the start. So you can bring your empty bottles if you have bottles in a waste pack. You can bring those in empty. If you have a powder that you mix in, bring that. Just don't bring the liquid. They'll make you dump it out. Inside, we will have water. We will have Gatorade. So if you need to mix up a powder with something, we'll have water for you at our hospitality. We'll have Gatorade for you at hospitality. But just be prepared and know that if you do have water, if you want to sip it along the bus ride, you will be asked to dump it before you come through security, because that's what the NYPD has said this year. And then runners will approach the security screening from Eastern Parkway. And like I said, TFK has Start Hospitality. Hopefully you know this. If you don't know this, I'm telling you now, you do not have to wait with the masses. We have a comfortable indoor space that will have food, we'll have bagels, we'll have bananas, we'll have coffee, tea, water, and Gatorade for you there. We have indoor plumbing, major plus in any scenario. You're gonna want indoor bathrooms versus outdoor bathrooms. And we'll just have a comfortable space for you. It should be better weather, more comfortable weather. Last year was very cold, but it's still more comfortable to wait inside than outside. And then we'll have your team. So if you're on the buses, there's going to be a coach or staff member on each bus. They're going to walk you to baggage drop, walk you through security, bring you to our hospitality. If you don't take a bus, don't worry. We're going to show you a map, and in the race week guide that we've shared, there's very detailed instructions on how to find us. So we'll get to that in a second. Only TFK runners will be allowed to access hospitality. So Yvette, you asked about running with a friend. You can absolutely run with any of your friends. They just won't be able to access the TFK area. So they wouldn't be able to ride the bus, and they're not going to be able to access the school that we're in pre-race hospitality. you certainly could come in, grab a bagel for yourself, grab a bagel for your friend, and go back out and meet up with them and run on your way. Or if you're not feeling the porta potty scene, you can come in and use our bathroom and then go back out and meet with your friend, but they just won't be able to come with us. So Ashley, if you want to advance, and we can go through a little bit in more detail the start. Okay, so what we're looking at here, the big green blob is Prospect Park, which you will get to know intimately as you run through it. Eastern Parkway is the major thoroughfare, kind of big street there, and that's where a lot is going to happen. So if you're on a TFK bus, you're going to get dropped off at Eastern Parkway and Washington Avenue. If you are taking a taxi, there's a taxi cab way over on the right side of this graphic. You're going to be aiming to get dropped off at Eastern Parkway and Nostrand Avenue. And just so you know, there's this map with a lot more of the surrounding area is in that race week guide. And if you go to the start map on the NYRR website, you'll see a bigger version of this map. So if you're worried about those locations, you'll be able to see a zoom out version of this with a little bit more context. And then you'll see the subway stations there. So on the left side, the big red no baggage entrance, if you do not plan on dropping a bag and you plan on taking the subway, shoot for going to that Eastern Parkway 2-3 subway station. That will be closest to the no baggage entrance. If you are planning on dropping a bag, shoot for that Franklin Avenue 2, 3, or 4 station. That's going to be the closest to your baggage entrance. Whichever way you come in, you will then kind of get kind of V'd into the main corral. So you'll see the two roads merge basically right at President Street. So that little blue line going towards that black star, that's where we are. So you're going to go basically until both roads come together, and you're going to want to go right at that, or go left at that point. You are at that point will be leaving the main general runner area. You're going to have to show your bib to get into that. And that's why it's so important that when you go to the expo, you don't go to general bib pickup right across the aisle from us, from like where all the regular bibs are. It's going to be a very green place, and that's where we will be giving out your bibs. So you do not go to the regular bib pickup. You come directly to the TFK booth. We have your bib there. We have the special bibs with the stickers right there. We'll have merchandise. We will have bus confirmations. We'll have coaches. We'll have just friendly, smiling faces. So you come right to us. You don't have to deal with any of the general bib pickup stuff. We have your bib and everything you need over there. That bib is so important because you will need to show it to get on the bus. You will need to show it if you want to come to our hospitality. So once you get through that checkpoint, you'll go about halfway down the block, and we're going to be in the school. We're going to have volunteers and signs. So just look for the green signs, keep looking for the green signs, follow the signs. And then we'll be in the school waiting for you. Again, heat, depending on how cold it is more or less important, but it'll still be comfortable there. Plumbing, food, what else could you want on race morning? But yeah, make sure you give yourself enough time. We're going to go through the timelines. I know there's some timeline questions. You have worked too hard for this race, for your plan to be there, get there 5 minutes before your wave goes off, and just cross your fingers that things work out. Give yourself an hour plus. Give yourself 90 minutes if you're dropping a bag. You have a comfortable spot to wait. So worst case scenario is you get to sit in a comfortable room and sip a coffee for a little bit extra on race morning. Don't stress yourself out by cutting it too close. If you care a lot about starting in the wave you're assigned to, get there early enough to make sure you do. So let's go to the next slide and just go through those timelines. So here's kind of the overview of the morning. So you'll see there's 5 waves for this event. And New York Roadrunners prescribes exactly when you should get there. If you're checking bags, it lets you know when your baggage stuff closed, when your corrals open, when your corrals close, and when you can expect to start running. There's a bit of time, so you can plan your morning by this. And if you come to the TFK start area, we actually have one of our coaches literally warm you up and walk you over to the corrals. So if you're someone who's a little bit nervous, all you have to do race morning is get to the TFK hospitality. And then from that point on, you don't have to do any thinking, because I will be there saying, wave one, it is your turn to start warming up. Please go with Coach Dorothy and start your warm up. And then Coach Dorothy will warm you up. And then you will follow her directly to the corral. So once you get to us, you can turn your brain off. You don't have to worry. We'll do the thinking and the math and all of that for you. But you can see the prescribed times to get to the start for your wave. If you're in wave 5, you do not have to get there by 6:10 for wave 1. You can if you want. If you have a Team for Kids friend running in wave 1, you want to go with them and hang out with them until they have to go, you're welcome to it. But you really don't need to be there before 8:10. This is going to be in the race week guide we shared. This is also on NYR's website as well. So use this to really plan your morning. Understand when if you're checking a bag, when you need to drop that bag by. Please know you can't bring the bags into the start. Any bag that you drop is getting dropped before you come into the start village. There's no coming through security, doing your thing, and then taking your bag back out. That's not going to be possible for you. So drop your bag. Your bag needs to have all the things you want to have transported to the finish in it. And then anything else that you may have that you want at the start, a banana, a sweatshirt, an empty water bottle, feel free to carry that through security. But your bag will be dropped before you come in. So just kind of be prepared for that. I know some races are set up where you can have your bag until you go to your corral. That's not this. And any bag that happens to get in through security, if you bring it to the start hospitality, will not be transported to the finish. We can't take it. Our team doesn't even go to the finish. So there won't be anyone to take that bag to the finish for you. So make sure you take care of your bag first before you come in. You keep with you all the things that you want to have for the race. Anything that you don't need at the immediate start, but you want it to finish, gets dropped in that bag before you come in. Okay, that was a lot about bags. How are you guys doing? Are we seeing in the chat any questions? Does TFK? No, TFK does not have our own bag drop. So you are going to use the general baggage. You're going to drop it by the number that corresponds to the number on your bib. So if your number is 8027, you're going to go to the booth for the 8000s and drop your bag there. How long of a bus ride is it? I would say at that time of morning, probably 25-ish minutes. Coach Dorothy, you probably rode the bus more than me.
It really depends on traffic. It could be 25. Sometimes we had a fire truck delay us by a couple of minutes. So we had 35 minutes to the start once. So just, get there early. And the bus, really, they take care of it. Those drivers know what they're doing.
Yeah, good question. So there's no need to bring an empty water bottle if it's not part of your race plan. We have cups for your coffee and your water and Gatorade. You would bring an empty water bottle if you run with like a hydration belt and the bottles on your belt just can't be pre-filled. You would then fill them there. As a runner, I would just have a water bottle with me if I was on the bus sipping water throughout the morning, and I would discard it before I go in, knowing that there's water and Gatorade on the other side. If you are more environmentally minded than me, you could potentially bring a reusable one and carry it for the whole race. But I would prioritize hydration, but know that we're going to have water and Gatorade for you inside the start village. So just whatever your plan is race morning, to stay hydrated before you get to us, think that through. And if you plan on carrying any liquids while you're running, just know you would be filling or mixing your powders or doing whatever after you get through security.
Another question popped up. Will there be phone chargers in the hospitality area?
We do not have phone chargers, but it is inside a school auditorium. So there is a reasonable expectation that there will be outlets somewhere. I don't know what corners of the hallways you'll be crouched into, but we do not have phone chargers.
Cheap disposable portable phone chargers are fantastic for race mornings. I would recommend bringing your own powders or whatever to hospitality. David will actually go over the SIS gels that'll be on course, but they will only be on course.
Yeah, we don't have any, like, I mean, what we will have very specifically are bagels and like cream cheese and peanut butter, bananas, coffee, tea, water, Gatorade. That's it. We don't have anything outside of that.
All right, David, you're up.
All right, so now you've gotten through the start, you've warmed up, and now you're going to run the race. I'm going to go through a very high-level course overview, and then following that, Coach Dorothy will give you more of a in-detailed strategy. So don't worry about any of the graphics. They might seem a little small here. On the main event webpage, there's a zoomed in portion of the start, a zoomed in portion of the finish, and a really cool interactive map of the whole race. So you can toggle if you want to see specifically where the restrooms are, where the watermarks are, where the medical are, or any parts of the course where you want people to come and cheer for you. You can go to the main webpage. There's an interactive map, and then you can like toggle and play and zoom through
And
there
the
as
link
well.
to that is in the chat to the event page.
So there will be 8 fluid stations on the course. They'll have water and Gatorade. They're kind of staggered out evenly as possible. You can't really put them on the bridge, but you'll see them in advance when you're running. There'll be a lot of signs that says water ahead, and you'll be able to see on the left or the right. It'll vary a bit depending on the part of the course. There will be science and sport gels on the course at about 10K mark. So once you get off the Manhattan Bridge, but before you get on the FDR, again, it's kind of hard to see on this particular map, but if you zoom in, you'll be able to see where those jails will be located. Once you come up, and there'll be TFK coaches along the course, again, cheering for you, giving you support. If you've trained with them, you'll recognize them. If you're from out of town, look for the Team for Kids Green. They'll be all over the course. A little hard to see here, but when you come across Times Square, when you make that right-hand turn on 7th Ave and start heading north, there's a really cool kids event happening in Times Square. So that's part of the Rising New York Roadrunners program. This is a free youth event, and there's 3 different stages, and it's provided at no cost for the families. And a really cool note about this event is that it's partly funded by everyone on this call. The funds that everyone is raising goes to support youth and community programs at 0 cost to the families that are involved. And what's a cooler way to spend the day racing in Times Square? Times Square closes twice a year. Once is New Year's, and the other will be the 17th. Let's see. And the science and sport, the gels that they'll have on course, there will be 4 different options, I believe. One of them is caffeinated. So again, nothing new on race day. If you've not used them before, probably don't want to risk it. When you come to the experience that will be available for purchase, you can try them out. If you're comfortable with caffeine, go for it. If you've not, nothing new on race day. And with that, I will turn it to the next page.
David, let me jump in. Yvette asked a really good question. So she asked if someone's in wave 5, can she run with someone in wave 3, or is that not allowed? So if you want to run with a runner who is in a different wave than you, you both need to start in the latest of the 2 waves. So if you, Yvette, are in wave 5 and I'm in wave 3 and we are best friends and want to run together, I would fall back to wave 5 to run with you. You cannot move up to an earlier wave, but every runner can start basically in any wave after where they're placed. So does that make sense? Hopefully it does.
Okay. Sorry about that. I can't see the Q&A. Okay, and here's a closer zoomed up map of the finish. Again, this will be easier seen on like a mobile phone. All the detailed maps look a little bit better than they might look on this particular slide. But here's a detailed map of the finish. You'll come up through 7th Ave, cut across Central Park South, into the park, and no Cat Hill. You hit that left hand on 72nd, and you make that left. And you keep going, and the finish is there kind of if you've done the New York City Marathon, it's the same, but in reverse. When you look on this blue area, that'll be the runner finish area. If you checked in a bag before the race, you'll be able to pick it up streets between 60th and 63rd. It'll be by bib number, so maybe you're not so out of it. Look down at your bib if you forgot what number you are. Go to where those bags will be staged. There's a designated family reunion area. Those will go by last name. Again, it's a great place to meet up with friends and family after the race. Cell service can be spotty because there's a lot of people in the area. There's staff, there's volunteers, there's crowds. If you don't have a signal, you might want to pre-plan a place a couple blocks away, maybe a particular cross section or a coffee shop that's a little bit further out. They'll be able to reach you there. I believe on the timing app, which will be releasing soon, it'll give friends and family can track you, and it should give them alerts when you finish and when you exit the park. The app should be launching, I believe, the 11th.
One more really good question in the chat from Rachel. She asked if you could hop off by the youth race and check it out and then go on your way. That is actually like the smack dab heart of Times Square, and the course is fully fenced off at that point, so you won't be able to exit the course. But if you stay on the right hand side, you will be literally like immediately to your right are the kids. So it's really like the adult course is fenced off here, and then there's just the fence line, and the kids do an out and back right next to you. So if you stick to the right hand side, you will be running with the children practically. I mean, they're on the other side of the fence, but you'll be able to see them. So if that's something you're like really interested in doing, just pay attention when you're coming across 42nd Street and you take that turn through Times Square. Stay to the right hand side of the road, and you'll be right next to the kids there.
So when you make that right hand on 7th Ave coming up through Times Square, I believe it's a 1 mile race for the kids. They'll do like an 800 out and back. If you time it based on where you are, you can wave at them. I don't know if you can high five them. There might be a little bit of a gap.
No, don't do that. You could get hurt. They could trip. Don't do that. Just wave to them.
Just wave to them. Give them that positive energy. They'll be having a really great time. I believe that was it for the high-level course overview, and I'll give it to Coach Dorothy for a technical race strategy.
All right, so this is what we've been training for, everybody. When you see the elevation chart, you will see this is a hilly race at the beginning. I like to do this race and think of it as 4 5Ks and a little bit, right? So the first 5K you'll see from mile 1 to mile 3.1. That is, you have you're going to go up and down on Flatbush Avenue, which is climbing towards Grand Army Plaza. Then we turn around, we come into Prospect Park, heading into mile 2. You're going to do that Battle Hill in Prospect Park. I would say the best thing to do is start slow. Start easy. It's half marathon. You've got a lot of time. So first 5K, control your effort. Don't get overwhelmed with everyone going out real fast. On your second 5K, so from 5K to 10K, you're going to have the Brooklyn Bridge, and then you should be running by effort as opposed to pace. Don't watch your watch. Just see how you feel. You want to come into that 10K feeling like you have energy. Like your race basically starts at the 10K. And 10K to 15K is the FDR drive. It's fairly flat, it's open. That's where you should start picking up your pace. That's a good time. You should feel, if you fuel properly through, that you have a bit of energy. You're going to come off the FDR at just about the 15K mark. And then you're going to start heading west on 42nd Street. And that is a gradual hill. So you want to think about just running with good posture at that point. You could keep that pace if that's a comfortable pace. If you want to pick it up a little bit, your 20K is when you're going to hit. You're coming into Central Park at mile 12. Your 20K is right before you're going to take that turn onto the 72nd Street transverse. Now think of the transverse. That's a little bit of an incline, but right then that's the point where you're going to say to yourself, this is when I'm going to kick. So the moment you come across the 72nd Street transverse, whatever you have left, that's when you spend it. So if you do a really smart race, you'll do what we call negative splits. You're going to start the beginning part of your race a little slower, pick up your pace as you move along. So your second half, your from the 6.5 mile point on, should be slightly faster than the first 6.5 miles. Think about when you're fueling. Hopefully you've all been practicing your fueling, but fuel prior to the race. Then every 30 to 40 minutes, you want to take a fuel and stay hydrated. One of the big things about this race is it's a mental race. So you've done all the training, you did basically the hard work. This race is your victory lap. So go out, enjoy it. Don't get too stressed out about it. If it's your first half marathon, it's going to be your personal record, right? So no matter what you do, it's going to be your best race. And just go out and have fun. There's only 2 times during the year where they shut down Times Square, right? And this is one of them. And you don't have to wait around for hours and hours for the ball to drop for this one, right? You're going to run through, as everyone said, stay to the right when you're passing the kids, and you could just see your fundraising dollars at work. For me, as I said, I love this race. There's nothing like starting in Brooklyn and ending in Manhattan. There's a good amount of cheering on 7th Avenue, in the park. The FDR Drive is a little quiet. So that's where some people mentally, it gets a little exhausting, but just look to your right. And there's this beautiful skyline. You have the water there. Really just try to enjoy it as you go through.
Dorothy, we have a more coach-specific question in the chat.
Sure.
So Katie is saying she's new to gels, and the package says every 45 minutes. Do you recommend that or only when you need it?
I recommend that you fuel before you need it. So if you feel like you need it, it's going to be a little late for it to hit your muscles. So if you could do it every 30 minutes, even if you don't feel like you need it at the 30-minute mark, take it so that when you're losing the glycogen in your blood, in your muscles, in your bloodstream, that it gets replaced and you don't go into that lull. And that's why they, most of them say that. If you're doing caffeine and not caffeine, like I wouldn't do every single one of my gels have caffeine. I might do the first one has caffeine and the third one has caffeine. I skip in between. But that's also, some people can do caffeine, some people can't. It's not necessary, but in case you want. Some people like to take dates and put a little salt on dates, and that's their fuel. I like to use Swedish fish.
I'd also, sorry, Dorothy, but Katie, I'm not sure if you're new to gels, as in you're new to gels this training season, or if you haven't tried them up to this point. If you haven't tried gels up to this point, Dorothy, what do you recommend someone does for nutrition for race day?
I would say if you haven't tried gels before, you have a long run on Saturday, that's a good time to try them. So, but a 60-minute run, the way a gel hits your stomach in 60 minutes versus if you're doing, some people have a 2-hour half marathon. Some people are 3-hour half marathon. So it really depends. I would say if you're not used to a gel, but you're used to a certain sweet like gummy bears or whatever, and you know that they don't bother your stomach, maybe that's your gel for the race.
Funny you mention it, Dorothy, because Stephen just asked, what is the coach's opinion of gummies versus the gels?
I think whatever you can do, some people have a hard time chewing the gummy, but if you can, chew it up and just like let it kind of dissolve in your mouth, that's good. Some people take the time at a water station to grab some water, head off to the side a little bit, chew, and then use the water. It's really a matter of comfort but gummies and gels hit your bloodstream about the same.
Are you ready to show them the video that you were very excited about?
So this is, if you're not psyched yet, get ready to be, because we've got a little video for you. So this is where you're going, through Prospect Park, up that Battle Hill, out, there's photographs, look for the photographers, get your best photos, up over that bridge. It looks scarier than it actually is. And here we come on to the FDR Drive, heading north. This is one of the only times you're actually running on the highway. You're going to pass the UN. You're coming up 42nd Street, past Grand Central. Then you're turning at Times Square, coming down 7th Avenue. 7th Avenue is a sneaky hill, just be aware. Into the park, cross the transverse, and to the finish. And once you hit the finish, there's your medal. Take some victory photographs. But that is your course, and it's one of my favorites. As I said, I do it every year.
And I don't know if you guys heard the music that was playing very loudly on my computer. If you did not, please feel free to go onto the NYR event webpage. It's really great with the music and with Dorothy's, commentary, but feel free to go in.
The music is pretty good. It's almost like a Rocky theme. It's one of those, I would play it the night before. I would, after you have your pre-meal. And that's the other thing. Don't only think about nutrition on the course. What are you doing the night before? Get sleep the Thursday night before, the Friday night before. You may not have a great sleep on Saturday, but you can really make up for it by having good sleep the 2 nights prior to that.
Dorothy, Jenny's asking about spectators. Where do you recommend, where do you think a good place for people to watch from would be?
I think a place where it's a great place to have somebody is right at the end of the Manhattan Bridge in Chinatown. That's usually a really good place. You've just come over the bridge. There's no spectators on the bridge. So you get that little boost of having friends and family in that area. 7th Avenue is also really good. Maybe at like 57th Street, that usually has a good amount of space. And at that point, you're going into mile 12. So, seeing somebody with a mile and a bit to go is usually a great space. If you have friends and family in Brooklyn, by the Barclays Center is also a great place. But I would tell your family and friends that sometimes the tracker is slightly off, because we're following a lot of runners here. I usually tell my friends and family, be on the right or be on the left, so I know exactly, because I've done that before where I'm running on the right and they're on the left and they miss me or I miss them. And have your family, if they can, wear really bright colors. You're wearing a bright color, but it's great if your family, everyone has orange shirts on, or Team for Kids, buy them a Team for Kids shirt at the experience so that you can look out for your so that they're easy to spot.
And make sure you're on the side of the street that you tell them you're going to be on. Super important. Katie asked me a question that I think you can answer a little bit better, Coach Dorothy. How much water do you recommend drinking the morning of? Because I know it's not good to overhydrate, but it's also not good to underhydrate. What is your recommendation?
I think it's it's really important to hydrate a couple of days leading in to the day of the race. So increase your water intake, not drastically. You don't have to start drinking gallons of water, but maybe an extra 2 or 3 glasses of water on the Thursday, the Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday morning, you don't really have to do that much extra water. Maybe, a cup before you go out on the course. There are water stations on the course. One of the tricks that I learned many years ago running with Team for Kids is to take the cup and pinch it so that when you're drinking, it's a little tiny spout and you don't, you're not getting a face full of water. And slow down during the water stops, unless we're going to win this race. Let's take a moment to just, take that sip of water and then keep going.
One more tip is everybody, it's like a block long of water. Everybody tries to grab the first cup. Run past the crowd. You will notice several more tables of water. So you don't need to be the first person getting the first cup off that table because you'll run into a traffic jam. If you run past the traffic jam, there will still be a lot of water to be had.
Just pay attention to your surroundings. There's a lot of people that, again, are thinking the same thing as you. You don't want to be to stop in a complete stop because then everyone behind you will run into you. So just try to be mindful of your surroundings. Try to keep to the side if you'd like, or if you've done this before, you're kind of at a power walk to like keep the line moving, but always just be aware of who's behind you, who's next to you, because there are a lot of people running this race alongside of you.
And one of the things that, if you've ever run with me for doing run walk, whenever you're changing your pace, think like a driver, right? If I'm going to either slow down or speed up, I raise my hand so that everyone around me knows that I'm going to change my pace.
These are all great pro tips. If anybody has any other questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. You can also send them to us if you don't feel like asking them now at teamforkids@myr.org. We will also be at the expo on the correct dates. TFK staff will be there and TFK coaches as well will be there to answer questions. So there's no question too small, and we're always happy to help.
Oh, one other thing. I hope everybody's been practicing in their race day kit, what you plan on wearing during the race. Because when we say nothing new on race day, we mean no new shirts, no new sneakers, no new socks.
No new sports bras.
Yeah, I made that mistake, new socks once. That was not a happy day.
Dorothy, Yvette's asking, how crowded are the roads? Are you going to feel like a sardine? Does it stretch out at an even point? Is it just comfortable amount of elbow room?
Yeah, it's comfortable. You have, because of the way New York Roadrunners schedules this race and the way they have the different starts, you're running with people at your pace. The roads are fairly wide. When you get onto the FDR, you've got plenty of space because that's a couple of lanes of a highway. I never, ever felt like a sardine during any of these races.
Yeah, I'd say the tightest will probably be just right out of the starting chute and potentially in Prospect Park because you're on a park road versus, like the highway. But after that, you're on pretty wide roads.
And if anything, it'll help you not go out too fast when you're just leaving that start.
Right. And also think about if you are slightly slower than the people who are running in your pack, like the highway, stay to your right, the slower you are, and try to pass on your left. Sometimes you have to pass on the right, but if you think about passing on the left, don't waste your time and energy weaving. People think, oh, everyone's starting slow, I'm going to weave. You've then added an extra mile or so to your race.
That great question. I started to type, but it's easier to talk. So all of the TFK runners are placed by their pace. So you are mixed in with the general runners. So you can line up with your friends. They can join you, assuming you fall back to the appropriate wave and corral. But you'll be able to run with the pacers who correspond to where you are. It's just the pre-race hospitality, the pre-race warm-up, that's exclusive to TFK.
Yeah, and the pace teams are out there with the blue and white stripe jerseys. So if you wanted to run with the pace team, that's a good idea.
They'll also be at the experience when you come to pick up your bib. If it's something you're interested in doing is running with the pace team, you can check in with them. They'll have like the little pace bands with the little splits. You can pick their brains on course strategy, how they're going to approach the race, and their best advice as well.
All right, guys. And with that, we are excited to see you next weekend. And we hope everyone has a fantastic race, and we can't wait to see you and cheer you guys on. If you have any questions, again, please email us at teamforkids@myr.org. We are more than happy to answer any questions you have. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Dorothy.